To the Two Rivers Candidate Forum. First, I would like to thank our city manager, Greg Buckley, our city clerk, Jamie Jackson, and our IT person, Dave Dassey, for making this program possible. I'm Catherine Cole, and I'm the co-president of the League of Women Voters of Manitowoc County. And I want to introduce our timer here, Marilyn Sontag, who's been a member of our league for a very long time. I want to explain the league's position. The League of Women Voters of Manitowoc County is a nonpartisan organization that does not endorse one party or one candidate over another. Our mission is to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government. League membership is open to all citizens, male and female, of the voting age, and that means from 18 on, so children can do that. I'd like to do some housekeeping terms here. All phones should be turned off at this time, and pagers. The restrooms are down the hallway and to the right. And I want to explain a little bit about our format tonight. Each member will get an opportunity to answer the first question, which is 90 seconds long. And Marilyn will raise up some signs that say this is 15 seconds when you're close, and then the red stop. So you get 90 seconds for your first opening statement, which we've already given that question to you. And I will repeat it so that you are refreshed with it. After that, we will then open it to the floor. Any of you can ask a question. I want the question to be at least no more than 30 seconds long. We don't need a prologue on it, just the question itself. And you can ask that question to one of the candidates or to all of the candidates. All right, that's up to you. They will have, at the end of questioning, they will have a chance to have a closing statement, and that will be 90 seconds long. All right. I'd like to begin with that first question that we sent to all of the candidates. All right, and Bill, I told Bill Leclerc he's going to be first, and then we are going to rotate, and everyone gets an opportunity to be a first. Okay, what work, community, and life experiences do you bring to the position of city council member, and how will these experiences benefit our community?
All right, thank you. I am City Councilman Bill Leclerc, and I was elected to the City Council April of 2019. Since then, I've sat as a chair of the Utilities Committee for 2 years, and I've been on the Utilities Committee for 3 years. I also chaired the Committee on Aging at the Senior Center. I'm on the Room Tax Commission that budgets our room tax dollars for tourism. I've filled in on the Personnel and Finance Committee when Kurt Andrews left. I'm also on the Board of Review that meets for the city's assessments and to hear appeals about city assessments. I was born and I grew up in Two Rivers, and I was raised in the town of Two Rivers, but me and my wife Darla have lived on the corner of 35th and Jackson for 30 years. So we truly are East Siders. And the reason I lived in Two Rivers all my life, so I know a lot about the culture of Two Rivers and what the citizens like and what you care about. I've owned a business for 5 years on Washington Street, and where we opened an art gallery, and of course we rented out the rest of the building, 6 units. And so I understand what it takes to run a business in Two Rivers and what it takes to do things like that. Thank you.
Larry?
Hi, I'm Larry Thomas. I relocated here in 2006 from Chicago. I have been a resident of Two Rivers since that time. I have spent an awful lot of time with local youth by doing multiple opportunities of coaching when I first came up here from multiple different sports. I have been on the Leicester Public Library's Board of Trustees for the past 9 years, and I currently sit as the president of that board. I was lucky enough to be awarded a seat on the city council here in October of 2021 when Kurt Andrews stepped down. I bring to this city a fire that burns in my belly to see its future burn brighter. I have a commitment to every citizen in this city to not only listen, but understand where they're coming from. There's nothing I won't listen to. I think we as a community are a strong community, and I feel that I can bring a level of honesty that may not have been brought to this city in the past.
My name is Tim Petrie. I've lived in Two Rivers my whole life. I've been self-employed for the last 28 years in the city of Two Rivers. I've had a couple different businesses. I understand what makes business work and the checks and balances with spending and not spending that goes along with having a business and being able to strive and stay afloat. I'm a person that's not afraid to ask questions when something doesn't seem right. And I'm here to just do that for our community. Basically, sometimes something doesn't look right. There has to be that one person that says, this doesn't seem right, explain. And that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Good evening, Doug Wolf. I was first brought to Two Rivers, literally brought to Two Rivers. My parents opened a hardware store in 1978. We commuted for a few years and then moved down here shortly after I graduated. I won't even tell you what year that was. So kind of like Tim was saying too, I mean, obviously we've run businesses for years. We know what it takes to operate them, checks and balances. Just because there's money available doesn't mean we have to go ahead and write a check and spend money where people don't necessarily need it. They're not being informed enough. They have to get to these meetings. We have to get people involved so they understand what's going on. And hopefully in the end, I mean, I enjoy living here. Small community, no crime to speak of. Just get everything back in balance, get some industry back into town so we can grow in the future. Thank you.
Scott?
Hi, my name is Scott Steckmeister. Like pretty much everyone else up here, I've lived here since I was 5. Grew up in Whitelaw, Wisconsin with my family. We moved here, like I said, when I was 5 and basically lived here all my life. What I can bring to the city, I've worked at Kohler Company now for 25 years in IT at a global kind of level. And I think what I can bring is the ability to talk to people, to understand what they mean, what they think they're talking about or what they're trying to say. And I think I can help fix problems. I've used to doing that all the time in my current position. So I know how to talk and interact with people. I can try to figure out what the problem is and try to come up with a good permanent solution. Like I said, I've been here for, all my life. So I know what the city's like. I know who the people are around here. I know what the city needs. I may not have the most business experience as a lot of people do, but my willingness to sit and listen and understand, I think, makes me a very good candidate for this. Thank you.
Travis?
Hello, everybody. I'm Travis Van Lannen. Moved to Two Rivers in 2007. Raising a immediate family of 4, lovely wife and 2 young kids. What I can bring to the city, I think, is kind of like what Doug and some others already touched on, the communication. It's important to be able that the citizens and business owners have a voice, and that if there's concerns, we can sit down and have that dialogue and hash everything out. While acquiring the signatures to run for city council, I heard a lot of grumblings about this, that, and the other, but not to speak to anything specifically. It's just important that we can all sit down as a group and come up with the best solutions that serve everybody. So that's what I'm committed to bringing. And like Peach said too, if you have a question, ask it, and we can come to a good conclusion. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jason Ring, and some of these folks have been born here and lived here all their lives. I am not one of those, but in the last 10 years, I feel like I've really been embraced and adopted by this community that I've made my home and choose to continue making my home. In those 10 years, I've worked as the tourism promoter for Manitowoc and Two Rivers, and it's given me a really strong working relationship with the city of Two Rivers. I have been involved in council meetings, committee meetings, and the like here in City Hall. In the community, I've been a member of the Two Rivers Main Street, serving as their treasurer for a term. I'm on the Carp Fest committee, Cool City Car Show committee. You've probably seen me serving you beers at our local festivals. The EVP volleyball tournament is a group I helped organize and bring here. I also am involved with Ethnic Fest as a volunteer, Kite Fest, and the Two Rivers Business Association. I hear from local business owners all the time about what's going on in our community and how we can all together work to make our community better. I'd like to bring feedback from those business owners in the community, a couple of them represented up here, to the city so that we can really help them thrive in their business, whether it's a sole proprietor or whether it's a company that has 200 or 400 employees. I want to be able to be a voice for those folks on this council. So having served on many boards and served in leadership roles around the community, I think that will help me in this office. I would like to be a voice again for those local businesses and the residents that live here. Thank you.
Roger?
Hi, I'm Roger Van Voltenberg. I grew up in Two Rivers community, graduated from the high school. Spent a lot of years on a farm in the area, prior military, and then moved down to Milwaukee for 10 years. I came back and been here to raise my family for almost 30 years now. No ages, please. But I believe that there should be a balance in the community. Being on a farm and also working several jobs throughout the community. Farmers, they don't do the horse and buggy and plow the fields anymore the way they used to. You know, it's tractors and stuff. So I believe that there should be a balance both of industry and of farming community. And we should leave our doors open for that because that's how we feed ourselves. Anyway, I believe that city council members are public servants and our doors should be open within reason, not calling up at 1 o'clock in the morning or something, but unless there's a supreme emergency. But we should have the ability to converse and communicate with the constituents and the people throughout the community, both high and low. Thank you.
Now, you have a chance from the audience to come up here and ask a question. Okay.
Mr. Wolf, in your little talk, you talked about Two Rivers needing industry. What does industry mean to you?
Basically, any kind of business that hires more than 1 or 2 people, beyond retail or a restaurant, okay? Some type of manufacturing of some sort to offset some of the utility costs, just bring more people to town, younger families, so we can grow and keep this thing going, you know? That's my opinion.
That's one question.
I'd like to have all of them. And my name is Mark Bittner. I'm currently a resident of City Council and also on City Council. But I'd like to ask each one of the candidates, I'd like to hear what you think are the major strategic challenges for our community right now. And more importantly, then I'd like to tell you or ask you to tell me how you're going to fix it to make Two Rivers a great place and even a better place to live. So what are the challenges and what's your plan to fix these challenges?
All right, we're gonna start with Larry.
Absolutely. Is there a time limit?
Yes, you have 60 minutes. 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Mark. I think since living here, the biggest issue with this city has been the declination of population over that time period. Utility bills, service fees will go up when you have less population to share the cost of that. So I think the most important part of this currently is to bring youth to this area, bring more affordable housing to this area, and with that, bring additional jobs so that we can sustain our future within this area. Thank you.
Well, it would be nice to get more business in the area, but my main thing is I think the public needs to be more informed. The more we have with more public input, the better the council can do with making sure everybody's going in the right direction and just to be more informed.
Can you repeat it again? Just like Mark talking.
Tell us what you think the community's greatest challenges are right now, and what would be your plan to fix these challenges to make Two Rivers a great place to live?
Biggest challenge, I think, goes back to my last statement, is getting some type of business, industry, or whatever that hires a generation that not only going to be here for a year or two and retire out, move off somewhere and keep this area thriving and supported by a younger generation. Most people only have 1 or 2 children in the family now. They graduate out. You see the house go up for sale. It stands there. Somebody comes in, they buy it as a bed and breakfast. We need growth, and we need the industry, and that's what pays the bills. So that's all I've got.
I think one of the major challenges for the city is, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, like they have said, but it's about the people, and it's getting more people, younger people, come into the city, whether, it's to live here, visit here, whatever it might be. I think it's really important that we need more people to be able to, help pay for everything that goes on in the city. Get more people to come in and go shopping downtown, more stores, stuff like that. We need that influx of people. It doesn't have to be younger. It can be younger, older. It doesn't matter. We just need, more people to help the community move on, move forward, and do what's right for the city. Thank you.
I think the focus should be on the young people, and I think that one of the biggest challenges of the city of Two Rivers is not very unique. Cities all across the country, we have to focus on our youth. Kids are having a lot of problems, a lot of mental health problems. They get out of school, they don't want to work. We need some kind of youth programs that keep the young people here, keep them working here. And as some of you already touched on, making sure we have industry and attractive jobs in housing and businesses and things like this, recreational and otherwise, that the younger generation wants to be here. They want to live here. They don't want to leave. Like we talked about the attrition of the populace to support offset tax costs and things like that too. So a comprehensive plan to hash that out, something that I think we should focus on. The younger kids, keeping them here for the future. Thanks.
These guys said some great answers. I'm going last on this one, or near last. So I guess I'll try and phrase some of this in a little different way. I think we have a pretty amazing community here full of people, but we don't have engagement from all the people in the community. And I think if we can get some more folks who have been here a long time but have sat in the sidelines, if we can get them engaged in some things in our community, maybe it's helping them start new businesses. Maybe that's helping them find jobs here in the community. I know we talked about young people and the importance there. I don't really put an age on the people that I think can help our community. I think from every level, young, old alike, we can bring older people back into the workforce. We can engage younger people in politics. I think that there are ways to go about growing our community from what we have. And if we have engagement, that'll lead to the growth that we're looking for from some of the folks here that have mentioned growth being important. And I think then that growth will be what leads to economic development, because as we grow the engagement, we grow the people that live and work and recreate here, which I think is important too. That leads to the economic development that will help the community thrive. And I guess I would say small business, large business, doesn't matter, because all of that helps in the community. You know, if you have a business that you open and it's just yourself running it, it's one more person employed in our community.
Yes, I believe high and low should rest upon one another, as Lao Tzu stated in the Tao Te Ching. The young learn from the old, but it seems pretty strange. When I went to school, we weren't allowed to use an abacus to do arithmetic, and now today, we've got calculators, and matter of fact, cell phones that have more power than the calculators used to do the moonshot in '69. I think that we should learn from both our youth and the old and figure out a way to close that divide, which seems to be widening nowadays between the young and the old. We do have one individual from the area, and I understand this individual plays a sport called Frisbee golf and has done very well and is on the national circuit. A lot of us, you know, some of us don't even know what it is, but, you know, we could learn from them. And that's one type of industry that could possibly come here. And because I understand that this individual is now doing endorsements, I don't wish to say a name because I don't have permission to. So, thank you.
Want me to answer the question?
Oh, sorry.
Hey, that's okay.
I wanted to make sure I got everybody around. Bill, sorry. Bill, go ahead, please.
I think they said all. And you know what I'm really excited about, and after being on city council for 3 years, is seeing these guys going out and getting in and running for office, getting involved in the community. And that's one thing that we always, you know, when we're having city council meetings, we want to ask people to come up to the podium. There's really nobody here. It'd be great if we had more communications with the city. And when I see a number of people, those lots of times nobody runs against anybody. And sometimes it's even difficult to get the 3 people to run. So this is very exciting. And community involvement, but we used to have the JCs and other organizations in town, and we used to have strong community involvement. And I think I think a lot of these things would just fall into place if we had more people involved in their community. A lot of people don't work in Two Rivers. They work in Green Bay, Appleton. Manitowoc is almost the same town, really. But, well, location-wise. But we do have a lot of great natural resources, and I know our goal in city council is we exploit those to the max and try to attract people here. Thanks.
First of all, I do want to thank each and every one of you for running. You're showing you're engaged. And if people need to get engaged, there's a lot of organization. My question is, as a realtor, I love the fact you want to bring all these people here. Where are they going to live? We have a huge housing shortage. You can do something about that. How are you going to do it? Each and every one of them. How are you going to do this? I could give you some suggestions. And my name is Amy Macmillan.
All right. Start with Tim.
Well, kind of goes along with not everybody knowing what's going on. I'm learning stuff as we go. There are some projects that are in the mix of going on now that will help with some of that. It's definitely not something you can snap your fingers and do, but let's see. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, yeah.
I've got one question. You're a realtor, you said? the group of people that you're seeing come in looking to purchase houses right now, family of 4, family of 6, age groups are working in the immediate area, out of.
Excuse me. And doing it.
He could even do this to you. Well, we've got a lot of people that want to move here, and you've got people my age, which I'm not going to tell you, and they're moving back because they love this area, low crime,
Okay.
just
get
everything.
I get where you're coming from 100%.
Correct.
But if we've got a developer coming in doing 45 unit apartment building that's been approved apparently by the city or whatever. So that's coming in, that's 45, 3 people in there. You could build those all day long. Are we gonna be able to, and I don't know what a cost structure behind what the rent's gonna cost, okay? But somebody coming into the area, I mean, if there's a new family, they've got a couple kids, new jobs, do they have money?
They've
to
got
open
money.
up and build a
They've got
brand new
money.
home?
We have people. How many houses do you think are on the market without an offer on in the city of Two Rivers at this moment?
Without an offer?
Without an offer.
Probably only a handful, small amount.
Last time I looked, a couple days ago, there were 3. We need housing.
Well, there's a lot of lots available up in the city land. They could purchase and build. There's modular home. There's stuff all over. But as an investor, somebody to go out and build a big complex, it takes a huge amount of backing, first of all, you know.
You guys, a little suggestion, maybe look at your permits. Can we make the timeline a little shorter? Can we maybe do something, tweak our zoning laws so that when you have a property and it's zoned business, but it does have a house, you can't buy it as a residential? These are things to look into.
Objection asked and answered.
There's a lot. That's a whole separate meeting in itself. I mean, you could discuss this all day long, you know, really could. So I'll let it pass it on.
No, that's a really, really good question. And to be honest, I didn't think that was that way. I always thought there was lots of empty houses all over the place, but really you don't know that. And that kind of goes back to communication and not having community involvement. But, you know, to find more housing and more lots and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of the processes to get permits and get approvals for everything just takes a really long time. And, you know, there are people out there, I'm sure, that they want to move into the city, but when they realize it could take a month, 2 months for permits or something, they're going to go someplace else. They're going to go to Mishicot, or they're going to go to Manitowoc or someplace else. So yeah, I think that's a really, really good question. I personally don't have the answer to that, but I'm sure there's different places, you know, the city could look into to purchase land or something, redevelop different areas that are currently businesses, maybe switch it to residential. There's got to be more communication to talk about it, to try to understand how we can fix that problem.
Like Scott, I don't have a great answer for you either. Everything that they talked about with the current development projects going on, I think would help. And all the elderly populace maybe that are going to be passing their homes on. I didn't realize there were that many unhoused people seeking in Two Rivers. That was also news to me. So I know I see some for sale signs up, but you're just saying that there's active offers. That's just a competitive housing market. You know, I think that's all across the country as well. But definitely looking at the things that you talked about, there'd have to be, like you said, a whole nother meeting on discussing what we can do to encourage more development.
I'm sorry, I can't look at you as I give this answer because they make me talk into the microphone, but I have I think I can solve this in 60 seconds. Just kidding. There's no way to answer this in 60 seconds, but I think the starting point is working with our local realtors first and foremost. We have, I know, worked with realtors from outside of Two Rivers to work on some city properties. And I don't know why we haven't started with the realtors that have businesses here and that have homes here. Amy, you sold me my house, and it's probably one of the best things that ever happened in my life. So thank you. And I bet there are other people out there that will tell you that Amy's the reason that we're here in Two Rivers, because she's a champion for this community. And you can tell a story where you talked me out of buying a house in Manitowoc, and you talked me to come in here to Two Rivers to look. And honestly, it's made a huge impact on my life. So, and again, I think the starting point is working with our local realtors. Let's sit down with them and find out what they need from us first. And then we can look at putting together solutions. I mean, we can't create more houses instantly, but we can do things where we help with permitting. We can do things where we streamline processes. We can make it easy for people to pick Two Rivers. And we don't have to have people picking us over Door County or anywhere else. We can have them picking us over, all of Wisconsin, really. So.
Well, a lot of the points have been brought up. But one avenue that they haven't looked at, in the larger cities, let's just say there's no new land. Except for maybe Hawaii, where a volcano comes up and, spews a little land, but it takes a while before they can even use it. But here, when you've got large cities, they usually start going upward. That's all fine, well, and good also, but we also have to look at our emergency individuals, such as fire departments and stuff. If we start going up, we may need different equipment and stuff like that also. So we need to keep this also in mind.
Good question. One thing we gotta try to do is find more affordable housing for young people that are coming here. I think that's a number one goal on our parts. We do have some in the works, but I think we have to start looking at land that we can acquire. There's a lot of railroad land in the city that could help some. These are big corporations. It's hard to acquire the land from them. Obviously, we have the land here to the east that's open that we could develop. Now, that's probably not going to be low-income housing, but there could be some opportunities there for a lot of housing. Of course, we have our Sandy Bay Highlands, which is a little higher scale housing, but I think it's on maybe just a little above average cost wise, but there's another phase to that. So we're only at 2 phases. There's a third phase, so there's going to be more land opportunities. And maybe we're running out of land. You're right. There's lake, can't go build houses out in a lake. So we need to maybe work together with people and maybe get rid of some of the blighted land in the city and put some working homes, working apartments or whatever. So thanks.
Amy, thank you for the question. I'm going to go in a direction different than anybody else has answered. I think the ultimate project would be to attract developers to this area. There is some land north of town. Unfortunately, some of it's forested, which would upset folks, and I do understand that, as well as farms, which may have to be purchased. However, if you can get affordable housing, whether it's, large apartment buildings, large houses, as Bill had mentioned, through Sandy Bay, through Sandy Bay, as well as in the area around Port Sandy Bay. I mean, there's some areas where houses can be built, but I think right now for the youth and with, lack of jobs currently, which we need to work on, I think cheap apartment complexes would be a benefit at this point to house the youth. Thank you.
All right, someone else has a question?
Gentlemen, you have touched on this a little bit, but I want to just kind of push it home. Kind of the heart of a city is your volunteerism. You want to know what's going on with the people. Work behind a ice cream scooping counter for an evening or something like that and listen to the chatter, and you'll find out what's going on in town. So volunteering is a very important part. I know Jason does a lot, and I have seen Bill at things, but you want to get to the bottom of what's going on in town. That's the best way. And I would love to see more volunteerism. Everybody is shorthanded. That's my question.
I do a lot of volunteering in town, so to earmark these particular people, you're not seeing what's going on all the time either. The Historical Society is a good place to go, volunteer, meet people, make contacts with people from all over the world, you know, that are thinking of possibly moving to town or relocating to Wisconsin. Make that communication. I've run the Farm Museum for the Historical Society for the last 18 years. Never took a nickel. It's all volunteer, like you're saying. Scoop ice cream, talk to people, promote the area. Go ring the bell at Walgreens or Pick and Save for Salvation Army. You know, I've done it. I've done it all. So I'm out in the public, you know. I do what I can do, you know, and I've worked alongside Bill, we've been at the car show, we've been at Kite Fest, we've been all over these outdoor events too. So you have to, I agree with you, get out and be known. So, all right.
Yeah, I totally agree with volunteering. I know my daughter, she does so much volunteering in the area. It kind of opens your eyes at all the different opportunities that are really out there that you really can do and volunteer your time for. I think in today's day and age, I think people are just too busy, unfortunately. They got too much stuff going on and they're just way too busy. But I think, you know, it's a good point that, you know, people just need to take a step back and not worry about all that other stuff. You don't necessarily have to worry about your own personal life, but start worrying about other people too and how they're doing, help them do different things, just volunteer. Like you said, I think that's something we need to look at more and more. I know I'm not very good at it, but I know my daughter's taught me that over the past couple months where she's, like I said, she volunteers all over the place. So yeah, it can be real fun meeting different people. We were just talking beforehand. He knows my grandmother and she used to scoop ice cream at the Washington House. And she'd come out and I would visit her and she would have all these different stories about the people she would talk to. So yeah, it's a real good idea and a real good thing to do.
Can I throw one more out? Can I respond one more thing? No? Travis, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Doug. Yes.
I'll slide you a piece of paper.
Yeah, no. Great point. The volunteering is very important. We talked earlier about that sense of community and solutions for getting the younger people involved and connected, like Roger said earlier, with the older people. And we need those family units. We need that community cohesiveness, and I think it's very achievable. We all can do more. We all can be better. I haven't volunteered a ton, but that's all something that we definitely should be doing. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Kay, for the shout out to volunteerism. I think, you know, a great way for people to get started volunteering is to look at a service club. In our community, we have the Rotary Club, we have the Kiwanis Club, we have the Optimists, and the Rotary Club is one that's personal to me as a Rotarian. It's a great way to, you know, make friends with a shared interest, and that shared interest is giving back to the community. So that is a plug right there to go out and look at your local service clubs to give you your help.
Ed group?
You can see Amy about Kiwanis Club membership after the meeting. If you'd like to talk Rotary, you can see me. I don't know any optimists in the room. Want to volunteer to? Judy Goodchild will hook you up. I'll get you her number.
Yes, volunteering is a good idea. You get to see everybody in their natural perspective. One of the things I've done for over 35 years is teach martial arts, actually Shaolin. And I've run across a couple individuals that were graduating high school and did not know how to read or write cursive. So I actually set classes up where I started teaching them. If you look at this in a legal perspective, let's say even signing a check, it says sign, not print. So, yeah, I did set up class, you know, they even brought their other family members in that were in high school so that I could teach them how to do cursive. these are things where I don't feel like jumping on the bandwagon and saying, look what I did. But there is volunteer work out there that does help the community in an underlying way. So, you know, the other aspects is there could also be clubs and stuff like that. There are some very good chess players in the area. Chess club would be very interesting to have again. Thank you.
There's just so many clubs in town that, like, I wanted to say, I was gonna say 4-H, junior achievement, the explorers, the scouts. If we can get these young kids involved, that's gonna really help a lot. I think, you have to volunteer to get them to volunteer, I think. So any way we can get people to volunteer is gonna help our social system in our community. And real life is a lot better than watching TV, I think. Watching real life is better than watching TV. Thanks.
Thank you. Valid point, Kay. The volunteering I do and that I truly support to my heart is helping our youth. If we want to make better people out of our youth, we have to spend the energy and invest in them. So I've spent a lot of time with sports, with troubled teens. I had a brother who died of an overdose, so drug interaction is super important. I think if we want our youth to lead us to where we want our city to be 20 years from now, we have to get them involved and show them the way. So yes, volunteering with adults and with our seniors is fantastic, but my heart lies with our youth, because if we want to make this city better, we have to make it, you know, beyond generations as well. Thank you.
I agree with volunteerism, and people should remember that there's a lot of volunteers behind the scenes that aren't out in the public. And without them, a lot of volunteer projects wouldn't happen at all. I hauled material and stuff out for the baseball diamonds out by the high school and stuff. And there's just plenty of people that work that and do a lot of volunteering that people don't know about because you're not in the public eye. And while I have time with the housing thing with the permits, that is big government that's just lazy. I saw them shut down construction projects in Sheboygan that I worked on when we were trying to put sewer and water in, and they went, well, you get your permit in like 3 months. So then you have crews upon crews upon crews that are sitting for 3 months. And then by the time you start a project, it's 3 months behind, and it's just a mess with that. Thank you.
Heard a couple of you guys talk about or touch on youth in the area and different things with education and working with the youth. What are some changes you guys would like to see in the local school district, positive, negative? And how would you like to see things implemented?
Can you talk in that a little more?
Sorry. Nicole Benteen. Like I said, you guys have been touching on the youth and different programs for kids. And I'm wondering on that same line, where you see our school district and if there's any changes and improvements you'd like to see with the way things are handled with the district.
We'll start with Scott.
That, again, very good question. That one kind of hits home for me. I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this, but my wife had worked in the school district, and there's a lot of different things that I think the schools could do a lot of better at. There's really no consequences for things, so kids can just, you know, do what they want whenever they want. You know, the academic parts of things, Two Rivers School public school system isn't as good as they once were. So I think a focus on, you know, testing and stuff like that, just getting back to the basics of teaching kids just how to do basic stuff. I wasn't old enough to do the 3 R's, I think is what it was, but, you know, getting back to that kind of just basic stuff, just to help kids understand and do stuff and learn what simple things are. I think that will just help them become better adults and just be better at life.
Great question. again, very important, as you said. I think that there needs to be programs in place in the schools, in the homes. Parents need to communicate with school board members. If school board members want to get something done, there needs to be dialogue for that. I found out recently too, as they said, we're learning everything as we go here. But the school board meetings, I believe, are on the same nights as the city council meetings, which doesn't make sense to me. Is it every other? Okay. So to be able to work with the city council, with the school board, with the parents, and again, nobody should feel that they're unheard, and nobody should feel that their kid doesn't have all the tools to do the best that they can do growing up and, entering into society. And volunteerism and programs like that in the schools, in the homes, education with parents and students. And absolutely, I think there's always improvement to be had. Good one. Thanks.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see the schools focus more on the students. I had in high school, my guidance counselor told me I wasn't college material. So I showed her. And I wasn't the most applied student. You have the students at the top of the class, you have the students in the bottom of the class. I just kind of got along. But I think that's a population in schools that get overlooked. Because those are the people that are going to be going out there and taking chances and starting businesses and using their skills to get themselves ahead. So I think schools can do a better job of encouraging things like life skills. Let's send kids into the real world being able to balance a bank account. Let's send kids into the real world being able to cook their own dinner so they don't have to go out to dinner every night. Let's make a career focus out of education so that you're setting yourselves up for the next level. I don't think every kid is destined for college. I don't think every kid needs to go to school after high school, but to have a path, to have your sight to the future known before you get out of school, I think is important for kids these days.
Yes. Very important. In states like Arizona and New Mexico, they have a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit like we do here. To do 16, you get a double the fine. Their motto, children are the future of ourselves. As for volunteering, being a licensed falconer, I've done a lot of lectures, both from youth all the way up into college. Very knowledgeable with birds. Don't say I know it all, but I get hands-on experience with it. But as for the negative part, when I was going out and getting my signatures, I ran into two families where they said that their children have been bullied. And that tends to be a problem because both of these families, and I would like to get back and, chat with them, touch base with them. Both of them had children where they almost committed suicide. So this tends to be a very, very big problem, and I do appreciate and thank the question. Thank you.
You have a very good question. The thing is the school board and the city council are two different entities, okay? We can collaborate with the school board and suggest things to help, the city in certain areas, and maybe help them with groups, like the police department does, the explorers, and and maybe help them with the Cub Scouts and whatever. But everybody, these other guys touched on all the other things that I could really think of saying. So I just wanted to suggest something else. But definitely, maybe more involvement between the city and the school system. So we highlight what's actually going on. Maybe people would watch it more I think maybe people watch the city council more than they watch the school board. Thanks.
Nicole, great question. I have a college student and I have a high school student, so this is important to me. Realizing we don't sit on the school board, obviously it limits what we can actually do. However, there's three parts I'd like to address rapidly since the time limit. While I was researching for this position for city council, I argued that the city of Two Rivers, the Two Rivers High School, has a 10% dropout rate. For parents, that means we have to be more responsible. We need to make sure our kids are doing what they are supposed to be doing. Get in school. You don't have to be an A student, but you should know what you're doing in school. Secondly, I think the high school should teach more fundamental life skills. Changing a tire, as Jason said, being able to budget, cook yourself a meal, things of that nature. How to apply for a job when you get out of school. That's important. And lastly, I think what's most important is every student thinks they need to go to college or the disappointment. I disagree wholeheartedly. I went to school very late in life. However, I think you can talk about tech schools. I think you can talk about the military. And if a child wants to go for a 4 degree, become a doctor, whatever you want to do what supports you. Find a career or an aptitude that fits you and follow that. And hopefully us as parents can help them pursue their dreams, teach them how to do such a thing. Good question. Thank you.
The council and the school board are separate, but it is on the council's, part of their job, like with the flyers that just came out with the remodeling they want to do for schools and stuff. It would be nice if maybe they had flyers like that to get the parents' input on what they wanted for classes or something. Because like you said, it'd be nice to have, teach them life skills again. It'd be nice to teach them how to have pride in their own work and how to have a work ethic. Where our youth today, that's very minimal. It's a hard thing to teach. But if everybody worked together a little better, I'm sure we could at least help get that going in the right direction, try and solve some of our problems that we have.
Okay, Greg, question for Greg. The school board strictly answers to the superintendent of schools? Is that their boss or who is their boss? The school board is the boss? Okay, so whoever, I mean, who is their boss? I mean, they're just coming up with the stuff and they can run with whatever decision they make?
President of the school board
President, okay.
is the boss.
So the president of the school, board, I got that. All right. So my thing is, like you said, we're not really controlling the school board, but yeah, we do need to have some input. There needs some information. I know I could go on, but this No Child Left Behind thing, you know what? That needs to go away. If somebody isn't pulling their weight and there's a reason, they need to be held back. They need to do the work. You can't go to work and not work for 8 hours and get a paycheck. There are circumstances to every situation, but that needs to be addressed with a social worker or whatever. But that can't continue. You're having kids that are walking around like can't write, can't read. It's sad.
But I don't want to miss the opportunity too. Let me ask each of you, what do you think of the revolving loan fund? How important is it to engage or address the shared revenue part of it? And what do you think overall about our TIF programs and what we can do in the future to leverage that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you were saying.
I can't hear.
Number one, what do you think of the revolving loan fund and how it's used and what we've done? What do you think about the opportunity for shared revenue? What can we do to improve that? To help us finance the community? And what do you think about the array of TIFs we've had in the past and we're working on right now? And if each one of you just maybe 3 answers to each one of those.
I was gonna say, that's 3 questions. All of them.
Not really.
3 points.
We'll go with the first one, Mark.
All right, I'll ask the question.
All right, revolving. All right, and the first.
Revolving loan fund. What do you think? How we've done what we could do?
Okay, start out with Travis on that one.
I'm not at all familiar with the revolving loan fund. Is that what, I'd have to look into that. I'm not sure what that is.
Sure. So I think that if I'm correct, it's the fund that was kind of run by the state and overseen by the state. The cities have been given those dollars now with less restrictions on how they can use the funds. Those loans go to small businesses to help with startup and it's a tool that cities can use to help spur development in our community. That's something that we've kind of all discussed here about the opportunities to get business going. So if there's a way that we can use those revolving loan fund dollars to get business started, I think that's a great tool to use. I know TIF is also a tool that we can use for improvements that aid in development. And those dollars are basically promise that the tax base will go up by dollars being invested in infrastructure. And that's a game that it's kind of a game because you have to weigh the risk of giving those dollars to what benefit is going to come from that infrastructure. So I'm glad we have experts that as city council people we work with to manage those things because it is a lot of research that goes into that and they're not easy decisions, but I think they're tools that we can use if used properly.
I am not very familiar. I would also have to look up and see what the ins and outs of it are, interest rates, things like that, and who it would all be available for. So pretty much up to the individuals and what they're looking for. So open for discussion of anybody that has knowledge on it with me. So thank you.
So the revolving loan fund is exactly what Jason described. So Jason, not being on council, is pretty smart about what's going on here.
That seems like an incumbent focus question there.
But to get to TIDs and TIFs, it's important that the city council creates a TID, which is a tax incremental district. So first of all, we have to agree on an area in the city that we can create a TID in, okay? And then a TIF would be the fund that's created by the revenue from the TIF or the TID. So when we start out, the TID is so much taxes dollars are spent on the TID. And we get to get the revenue and build revenue up in there, and then we can use those dollars in the city to, like Lincoln Avenue was used with TIF money from the hospital, and we can also the addition to Riverside Foods use TIF money. So there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of different ways we can go about it. And it's really an important tool for an old city like Two Rivers to use. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. I'll be succinct because we can all get lost in words here with these dollar amounts. Most importantly, when utilizing the loan funds or any TIF money, I think the 9 folks who sit up here on this council, whoever it may be, we have to be accountable. We have to be able to answer to the community about the use of those funds and where they're going and what they're being utilized to better here in our city. I think ultimately there's multiple blighted spots here in this city. And I think we can do a lot with a little to improve the spots that really need to be a little more visually stunning as you enter into our city through the highways. Thank you.
With revolving loans and such, they're a good thing, and I don't understand part of what happens with this is what I think needs to be brought into check a little better is people with a good business plan can get loans to help run the business we have in town out of business, and then they find out that business plan wasn't so good and they go out of business, and now you have 2 closed businesses where it should be looked at more to see what good and what damage can happen all at the same time with some of that stuff, because there's not a lot to keep the old business that's been here paying taxes and supporting the community, and everybody wants something new, but it would be, I don't know, I think very helpful to try and maybe help the old businesses a little more than we do, instead of just running with, I've got a new business plan, but I don't know what the actual economics of this city is gonna be. But because we are not like the rest of the United States when it comes to business. Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned, I can't comment 100% on this, but, it would be nice to know, you're asking us questions on stuff that it's like speaking Chinese or Japanese, whatever, but I do understand some of it. What the percentage of success and failure rates, I mean, we don't want to get into all this, but if we had that information, we could comment a lot better on stuff. Sure, maybe I didn't know what the question's gonna be, but, if you did know all this, you could comment on it. And then to turn around and basically the proceeds from the interest from these TIF or whatever loans are being used to purchase and redevelop the city and do different programs, apparently.
Well, somebody puts a $7 million building up, and originally the land was worth 200,000. The schools and the county and LTC, they get the tax dollars from the original property, okay? And then the revenue in the TIF, which creates the TIF, comes from the $7 million building, the assessment of that.
Okay.
So we can after a certain period of time, there can be enough money in there where we can actually use the revenue.
Okay.
So that's how it's, and I can imagine it can accrue interest depending upon how you take care of the
I
money.
agree. I mean, yeah, it's a good program, but whatever's being done with it, I don't believe the city needs to turn around and take proceeds from somebody's business or whatever like that after loaning money to them and purchasing blighted properties, I guess you'd say, and, turning around and picking them up and sitting on them and sometimes forever, and then turn around and dumping them back out to somebody who purchases them and not benefiting. I mean, I don't think we should be in real estate and development, period.
Yeah, I think that's was a very good question, Mark. As I was listening to everyone else, I think it's kind of confusing and kind of goes back to, how we can make homes better and buying stuff and things like that. It's real confusing, but I think what it comes down to is we're helping businesses be able to start up in the city. And that's kind of what we want. We want more people to come to the city. We want more businesses to come in here. So I think it's a good idea. I like the idea of being able to help people as long as they have a good business plan. We need that. You need a good business plan. You need a good idea of what you're going to do for the new business. If you're just coming in and just want to loan, yeah, I don't think that's going to work out. But you need some kind of good business plan. And yeah, if they need that extra assistance to start off in the city and start off a good business, I think it's a good idea.
Hello, my name is Forrest. What issues in our community are you passionate about, and how do you plan on fixing it? It could be any issue, whatever you want to pick. Thank you.
Sorry, I tried a little water and that didn't help. And it happened to be me answering first. So I'm passionate about, just, I don't know, being involved in this community. I get a lot out of, getting back and giving back and being involved here. I'm a single individual, so I have a lot of time that I can give into the community. And my mother does always tell me that you stay out of trouble when you're busy with stuff. So that's something that I'm passionate about, is just keeping busy, active in the community. I think council is a good opportunity to use some of the time that I have in a way that helps to be a part of the community. One of the things that one of the people on the panel up here mentioned was, and they kind of said it jokingly, that Manitowoc's the same as Two Rivers. And there was some laughter there, because we're definitely not two similar communities. We have a lot of differences. But that's one of the reasons I'm up here, is because what I see happening in Manitowoc, I certainly don't want that ever to come to Manitowoc and happen here. I want our seats on this council to be opposed. I don't want people running unopposed. So I'm here so that there is involvement in the community. And that's something I've kind of talked about earlier, is engagement. So that's my way of doing that.
Yes, things that I'm passionate about. Knowledge. Being a licensed falconer and doing lectures in front of schools, I would come across the question or something either from a student or a teacher. And if I didn't have the answer, I have been known to research that question and come back a day or a couple days later with the answers that are there. So it's, for me, actually fun to do research and look into things in that manner. So I leave my door open for knowledge and pass it on. Also, I've had an apprentice, and she's upgraded to a general, and now she has an apprentice. And I've left my door open for each and every one with that in mind. So if they have questions, they can always come to me. Sometimes not giving the answer is not the best thing. Giving them the avenue to learn or to find the answer is probably better. Thank you.
I'd have to say that, and I think everybody on city council is too, so we're most passionate about economic development. And that can be in many ways, new housing projects, trying to get developers to develop properties that maybe we don't own. Hopefully, somehow we can acquire them. There's other lands in the city of Two Rivers that we could develop, and anything that where we can, like Washington Street, fill the empty stores. Just go out in any way, create economic development so that we can broaden the tax base and make it easier on every citizen in the city of Two Rivers. Thanks.
Forrest, as you've heard me utter all night long, I'm really interested in our future here in this city. And I think in order to get more population to be here, tourism is very important to this city. Obviously, we're a summer town. We have the beach. I think that attracts people from all over, not only Wisconsin, but the Midwest in general. But I think the addition of Central Park is going to be nice because it gives us additional things to be doing here in the winter, which is ice skating. But I would love to focus on how to bring more folks from other areas, whether it's local communities or from California, Oregon, New York, wherever, by focusing on the touristic aspect, because we can improve what we do here in the winter. We're pretty much a dead town in the winter. So I think if we can find ways to improve activities for every age range, I think we could really improve the population and have more tourist attraction here to this city. Thank you.
I'm passionate about being fair and honest, that everybody has the same set of rules, not that we bend one way for one organization and no bend at all for the other. And just so that all development and stuff is free and clear, open to the public so they understand what's going on, not that everything is always closed session. And it's, from people that look from the outside, it looks like something may not look right there. It'd just be easier if everybody could see everything and be transparent and open and honest. That's about it.
I definitely want to see some growth industry-wise. Yes, it'd be great to have every storefront, filled with some type of a small business. Those are all the mom and pop shops. That's what made Two Rivers what it is, basically. Not the franchise stores. It was the little nickel dime Rollies market, they survived there for years. To turn around and flip the script and turn us into a Door County and say, we're going to survive off of tourism and put up little kiosks where you put your card in, it tells you where to go get a breakfast sandwich. No, I don't think that's not on my agenda, but I could go on and on, but I'll stop at that.
What I'm really passionate about for the city, what I really think about is the people. It's actually more about people than anything else. Being able to communicate to the people, getting their opinions on things, getting their thoughts, getting their ideas, getting their involvement, I think is really important. I think that's the foundation of what you need. And from there, I think other things will fall into place. If you get that communication with the citizens, you'll see businesses come in, you'll see places develop, stuff like that. So yeah, for me, it's really about the people understanding what they want, what they need, to be able to have a really good life, in Two Rivers. Thank you.
Thanks, Forrest. I'm real passionate about truth, health, and freedom. We live in an information age. Everybody has a device in their hand. There's a lot of information out there. Some of it false, some of it true. I think we can communicate as a community to strengthen what we have here, focus on what we have here, focus on our community. We can do a lot better with mental health. We can do a lot better with physical health, education programs to get that out to the community. And of course, freedom, Bill of Rights. I mean, with the climate of the world right now, you gotta think about those things. And to focus on our kids and educate them, I think again is not to sound like a broken record, but it all starts with the kids. That's the future. And if we can educate them properly, we can have a very thriving future. Tourism's great too, but I think our focus needs to be more within our local community and the residents here. Thanks.
If the city was given infrastructure money, how would you, let me put it here, spend on for whatever, how would the city council decide, how would you want to see that money put to use? All right. Question again is, if the city was given money to spend for whatever the city council decides, how would you want to see that money put to use? And we start with Roger.
Well, it would be a city council. It should be a group discussion and, open for conjecture, not just having one individual say, we need this or we need that. That's generally why they would have a group of people, more thought, going in, not just one direction, but, because, collective has more ideas and they can build upon the ideas. So, that's pretty much how I'd see it.
We'd probably put it forth to the city council and get everyone's input on what they'd want to do with the money. And if it was enough money, possibly the number one thing, I think, if we got money that way, would be infrastructure repair. But first of all, any money like that would go and everybody would have input, and then we'd probably have a long discussion, just like Roger was saying, to see where that money would best be spent. And, we have an old town and a lot of infrastructure needs to be replaced, and it's ungodly expensive. We paid $440,000 a block for the streets that were fixed last year. It's insane, but we got to do our best with what we got, and hopefully we can keep fixing streets, and maybe we'll get lucky and get some money. Thanks.
Thank you. As I sit on city council, I realize that every discussion about any dollar is a compromise. We have to come to the best decision. However, as I understand this question, it's more of an individualized question. What would I do with the money? I think ultimately street repair would be 1A. And I think while doing street repair, I think it'd be nice to bury some of the electrical lines, some of the cable lines, just to reduce the risk of outages of any form. I mean, that's a pretty succinct answer, but I don't want to drag this one out. You guys are probably sick of listening to answers already tonight.
I would think a close look at all of our infrastructure to see which one would need the help the worst, which one's in the poorest shape, to help fix that one first, and or where we could use for expansion for future growth and tax revenue. But we have to look at, I work in the sewer and water field, and yeah, I agree, there's a lot of stuff that you don't see it because it's underground, but it needs fixing and repairing, but definitely would have to look at what all needs work and what's most imminent at the time.
Okay, like everybody else was saying, I think the committee should sit down and compile a list of what we think as a group or whoever the group would be, what everybody's individual needs would be. And then you turn around and you take it to the public, whether it's a door knock or a survey like you just did with the high school, see what their priorities are and what they'd want to accomplish with the money, and see what goes from there. You know, that's my opinion. Let them make the decision.
So yeah, so sitting here thinking about it, it's kind of I'm gonna kind of group everyone's answer together. I think I'm kind of getting to the end of the line now, but for me personally, it's definitely the infrastructure. We all know that, you see water mains breaking in the middle of winter and it's just, makes a big mess. But I also think it's important that you do the surveys, you do give the public a chance to give their input. If they give their input, great. But if they don't, you gave them that chance to be able to give them for them to give you their input. So I think it's really important to get that input from the people of the community, but also, making sure that it's used the correct way and not just for something that, for whatever reason. So yeah, I know I'm kind of rambling now too, because it's, late and stuff, but yeah, I think it's just a combination of everything, just getting people to decide on something with a survey or something, and then as a community making that decision. Thank you.
I agree with mostly everything that everybody just said with infrastructure. And after communicating and analyzing it all and repairing whatever is in the most disrepair and, prioritizing all that and taking care of that, I think the only thing I would add is maybe some self-sustainability in the food sector, maybe some community farms we can support. Self-reliance on energy, I think, would be paramount going forward. I don't think we should be relying on outside sources, be it over state lines or otherwise, for our energy or our food. Thanks.
I guess I might go a different direction with this than most people did. But if I'm getting money with no strings attached, I might look to pay off debt and eliminate borrowing as we move forward. If we don't have debt, we can put funds aside and budget those dollars so that we don't have to incur the cost of taking on debt and borrowing. And again, I look at running city government a lot like I would my own finances. You want to make sure you have more dollars coming in than dollars going out. And borrowing is an important thing, but if you're able to manage that well or eliminate that if you can, that's a financially sustainable way to go.
Are there any more questions? All right, what we're going to do is to give each candidate 90 seconds to kind of give us a wrap up of what they would like to say as a recap, or whatever you think you missed out on, or you wanted to contribute more, or whatever. This is your time. You have 90 seconds, and we'll start with Bill.
Thank you. I just have to say that I'm going to always try to be a moderate voice on city council. If you vote for me, you can expect to stick to the facts and to be as honest as possible and to consider everybody's point of view before I make a decision. Thank you very much.
As you've heard all night, committed to the future. The one thing I can promise if I retain my seat here is communication is the strongest point that we have between the 9 folks who sit up here and all of our citizens. You guys have concerns. I will always listen. And I know we will not always agree on everything that is discussed. But what the 9 folks should do up here is bring concerns to the committee and we should all make a compromise to not better one individual, but the betterment of the entire city and all of the citizens involved. Thank you.
I'm just here to be fair and honest and a voice for the people who voted for me. And just to make sure people play by the same rules. That's about it.
I'm gonna make my decisions on the people, what they want. And like I said, if it's way out of the realm, obviously you gotta weigh in on that situation too, but we're here for the taxpayers. So I'm gonna listen, and that's what I'm gonna try and bring. I mean, obviously, like I said, they're never gonna get along 100%. You're gonna have quarrels, but at the end of the day, I still got 2 houses in this town that I gotta pay for and pay taxes to. So let's make it better.
Yeah, I want to thank you for actually hosting this tonight. This gives us all a chance to be able to view our thoughts and our opinions on different things. So I'm very appreciative for that. So thank you. For me, Two Rivers, it's always been home. If someone would ask me what I would describe, I'd say it's home. It's where my family is, and I care deeply about the city and what happens to it and what the people think of it and what goes on here. So to me, it's just really important that we all, work together. Whoever ends up up here with the rest of the city council members, it's all about listening to the public and making sure what we do up here, is what the people want. So it's being able to get along with everyone, work together, and just make it home for everyone. Thank you.
I'm running because I also believe that communication is key and representation of the citizens is important. I'll bring open communication, open dialogue, get out in the community, and make sure that people do have a voice, and we can all work together. I think that's no problem at all. I don't see any reason that there's obviously challenges, but they can be overcame, and communication is key. So, yep.
Yeah, I don't know of any current city council person or anybody up here that I don't think that I could work with moving forward with this city. The conversation we've had tonight has been a good one, and that's what I'd like to keep having with the community. There's a lot of you out in the audience that ask questions that I've known. I've had a few new people come up that I've met tonight. And that's what I look to continue doing. I'd really like to get to know as many people in this community as possible in this opportunity and use that relationship that we have to be a conduit to get their opinions brought forward to the city. I look forward to the opportunity to serve and work with city employees. I think that's something that we haven't really talked about as a group up here tonight, is looking at the experts that we have working in this community and use them as a resource and get to know them. Because I think as people that not only live in the city but work here as well, they can bring a lot of valuable information to those folks that are serving them. I know a lot of people in leadership positions might think that, city employees are working for them. I don't want them to see me as their boss. I want to be their boss. I want them to be the boss of me. I want to take leadership from them because they're the ones that, are doing this for a job. We're up here as, largely as volunteers. So that's, I think, something important as we go forward. Thank you.
Yes. I've learned over the years that there's a difference between intelligence and wisdom. And when David passed and King Solomon took the throne, he was rather young. And he prayed to the Lord and he asked for one thing: wisdom. You lead better by wisdom than you do with intelligence. And in order to do that, King Solomon had to listen to his people. And when he didn't, things went awry. I believe transparency, communication, all of that are very good. But what you do with it in the end is the main goal. Apparently you won't please everyone, and we are pretty much all family. And yes, there will be squabbles and, disagreements, but, sometimes the hardest answers are the ones that are probably the most enjoyable to overcome. So that said, thank you.
I want to thank the audience and for the questions that you came forward with tonight. I want to thank all of the candidates for showing up, for answering the questions as nicely as you have. And I want to just say it's important that everyone gets out there to vote.
Thank you, Kathy.
You're
Thanks for your participation, guys. I really appreciate it.